Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday, midweek Wednesday, and we got a few things to do. We're going to get to that bag. We're going to see if we can put a some kind of conditioner on it, talk about that. And but first, before I get to that, I want to tell you things. There are some hobbies that we get into that are very congenial, and other hobbies are just, they're rough. And I'll give you an example. Leatherwork. I used to be pretty heavy into leatherwork. I made a few, some nice projects, things like that. And I used to teach it. And leatherwork is one of those things where opinions run hot and heavy with leatherwork, And it's funny because a lot of opinions that run, people have their own experiences with leather, and that, that's fine. But it's so funny because, with any other hobby you get into, people say, well, I do it this way, I do it this way. Leatherwork is rough. Leatherwork's like, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's supposed to be this way. It's like, it's their way or no way. It's a funny hobby. And you know what other hobbies like that? Knife making, especially now, with the advent of Forged in Fire and all this the shows that came out. Everybody's an expert on the knife making. And, if you put out a knife making video, you better have tough skin, because my buddy Abe Elias, who's a fantastic guy up in Canada. And Abe's a funny guy because I met Abe in person a couple times. And, like if you went up and you were doing something wrong, Abe would just say, well, maybe you should try this. He would gently persuade you to try it a way that he knew was a better way, instead of saying, oh, you're wrong, but forget it. The commenters on knife making videos, oh man, they watch one guy and they're like, you're doing it wrong. It's not tempered right. There's so many things. So there's always a different ways of doing things. And I'm going to show you an unorthodox way, just because it's different, on doing that leather bag. So let's get right to it. Okay, for those of you who didn't see the last episode or episodes with this is a leather bag I picked up at the tool show. It was a basket case. It was rough. It was very hard. We cleaned it, we oiled it, got it nice and soft and supple. It's just a beautiful bag now. The thing is that a couple things I want to talk about. First of all, there's a bunch of conditioners, and the first thing you'll hear people say is that, why don't you use Obernoffs, Now, I have that up in the attic. I use that for certain items, but for this particular item, first of all, I don't want, it's a big piece. I don't want to waste. It's expensive. Obernoffs is not cheap. But I also have a whole bunch of other conditioners, things like that. And I said, I want to do something different with this, something that you might have at your house, and which is, like I said, a shoe polish. And I'll pick out what kind of polish we're going to use for this. But the bag is coming along, like I said, just where I want it. And the funny thing is, my girlfriend and I were talking. I said, we like the dark color. I like the dark color. Usually I like the veg tan color, which is a nice, like a golden brown. But the problem is, this bag is so old and stained, and you'll never get that back. That you have to maintain from the get-go. You have to put a finish on there that don't let the leather get dirty and stuff. You would never be able to get that color back from here. So I think I'm going to go with the black and put a little sheen on it. And let me show you how. Now, I must have about 5 different shoe boxes full of different shoe polishes. I always like these old boxes. I pick them up when you can get them for a song and a dance, usually at most places. Nobody wants them. But here is just some different, different products that I have. And again, in my attic is where I do my leather work. I have a ton of this stuff. But I bought a bunch. This is supposed to be really good. This rate's very high. I've never used this yet. But again, this is for more like dress shoes, things like that. But here's what I'm thinking today. Lincoln. Now, again, this is issued when you go into the Marine Corps. This is what you get issued. Not brown. We get black. I have neutral, black, and brown. But black here has a stain in it. And you can see it's it has the same ingredients. They've been using this for years. And what's interesting about this, hold on. Yeah, this one don't have the smell like the kiwi. I love the smell of kiwi. But we're going to put this on because I have a bunch of this. And it has a good stain to it. It'll blacken it out. And here's that kiwi I was telling you, parade gloss. But I know Big Mike says, don't use, we got to use the Lincoln. Stay the course. Here's another box, a different style. And this one here has a couple of older brushes. Now these brushes, they get a little bent down and stuff. This is the kind you want to use. You don't want to, I got brushes made for dress shoes and things, but the horsehair, that's what you want. This is a finishing brush. But these aren't my best brushes, but donating an old toothbrush to get into the grooves and stuff. Let's get started. Now we're going to use a swatch of terry cloth. This is an old sock turned inside out, and you basically a lot of times you put this on with what they call a dauber brush. It's a round type brush with some bristles, and we're going to be using the toothbrush like a dauber brush to get into all the edges and things like that, and the threads, and you really get it in here because this will protect all that from drying out again or any way you can't get in. So that's what we're going to use this for. But for the flat areas like around here, we're going to take a little on here, and you can see it's a black, it has a stain in it, this Lincoln, and we're going to put it on here, and you're going to see what happens. We're going to rub it into the leather, okay, and then when it's into the leather, I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here, but you see it's going to even out the colors, the blotching and things like that. We'll do the whole thing, and then I'll show you what we're going to do after that. Okay, now that we have it on, we let it sit in there for a while. Now we're going to take some soft paper towel, and we're just going to buff off the excess, okay? Any excess that's on here, any excess polish, we're going to buff it off just like this, and you'll see a little bit will show up onto the because it is a stain and a wax in that Lincoln, so you're going to see a little bit come off, but we put it on a little bit on the heavy side. This is just to take it off, and then after this we're going to hit it with a light horsehair brush. Okay, now that we got all the excess off with the paper towel, we're going to take a soft horsehair brush, and this is going to just give you that little bit of sheen. We don't want the shiny, we just want a sheen on it, a protective sheen. And when you go back and forth, it creates a little bit of heat, and you'll see that this will bring up a nice sheen to it, a very comfortable, very smooth feeling to that leather. Okay, there we have it. We didn't want a shine on there. We just wanted it to be soft, supple. And let me show you why I chose this particular finish for this tool bag. Because if ever you get any water, this is water, the enemy of leather. Watch what happens. Look at that. See that? Just runs right off. So that's why I chose the shoe polish as a finish. This will never penetrate the leather. Wipes off 1, 2, 3, and you're back with a beautiful bag. That is what I wanted. You know, when I first oiled it, I wanted this to look almost like those Australian, you ever see those oilcloth jackets that they have down in the outback? I always liked those, and I'm hoping that this will, provide years of service just like that did. So we're calling this one done. Good news, our friend Ben Mall found this bag. It's a Klein bag, and it is available on Amazon, so you can still pick them up today. Okay, so I started a second project for today. It was a leather transfer punch, a rotary transfer punch, and I had to make a bushing for it. We were doing work on the lathe, everything was going good, and then the part just dropped out of my hand. And I got those rubber mats you stand on, and you can't hear when it hits the deck, and where it just disappeared. I looked for an hour, can't find it. You ever have one of those? I can't stand when that happens, especially in the middle of a job, and this is a part you just can't remake, Oh, I hate that. I know it's happened to some of you out there. It's real. It disappears until at one time when you're moving or something, and then there it'll be plain as day under one of the mats or something. How to get there, I don't know. So I don't know. Now it's kind of bummed me out. Okay, let's try and save the day with just another project here that's on the waiting list. Let's get right to it. Okay, this particular tool was given to me at Jacktown. I think it was either Cheeky Monkey, Ron. I'm sorry. Let me know in the comments if you're out there. Okay, what it is, it's a tack or a small nail puller. These were popular years ago, and they do come in handy, especially when you're kind of doing work. It's a small little pry bar. It's got a flat foot that you can get in and really get some good prying action. It is forged, drop forged. Okay, now let's talk for a moment, because a lot of people are wondering about the difference between the forging techniques. Okay, drop forged is when they heat up a part of steel. Okay, they get it red hot. They put it in a almost like a die or form, and another piece of machinery comes down and presses it hard into that shape while it's still molten hot. You know, it's not the liquid, but just it's really a hot piece of steel. They put it in and it forms it into the shape. That's drop forged. Cast, when you hear of cast steel or casting, is where they liquefy the metal. They have a mold, like it would a sand mold or clay or something that would have a mold of this, and they pour the metal into the casting void, creating the this project. But drop forged is always a much stronger steel because the grain has been pressed while it was hot. So that's the difference on that. So let's take a look. You can see here from the forging we have these uncomfortable sharp lines on the side. These, again, like I said, were popular, but they were inexpensive tools, but very strong, well made. Let's clean it up and make this one in something nice. Okay, here we go. We are ready for paint. We did everything, polished everything. Now we just washed this with Comet and a scrub brush to make sure there's no residual anything in there. And we're going to put some paint in there. A few people asking me how you do it, so I figured this is a good enough time as any. I'm going to show you. First thing I'm going to do is hit this with the heat gun, make sure there's no moisture whatsoever left in there on both sides, and then I'll be back with the paint. Okay, this is what we're going to need. You're going to need some hobby and craft enamel. Any enamel will do. I like to make sure it's nice and thin. If it's too thick, thin it out a little bit. A regular brush, some mineral spirits are in here, and we have this blue shop towel, but we ripped a couple of small pieces off here. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to flood the area with paint. Okay, so we're going to take this brush and we'll do the back first. We're going to flood the entire area with black paint here. See, like this? Don't worry about going too heavy, but you don't want it to run, okay? So we're working this down here because there's a natural forging grain in there that the paint will adhere to. And this dries pretty quick, believe it or not, but we're going to get it in so that you don't see any residual marks, and drag your brush along until and we're going to put this on the furnace, on the boiler, so it doesn't it smooths out. And this enamel does find its way. It'll smooth out. Now you see what that looks like, right? It's all over the place. Now here's where the magic comes in. You take your swatch of paper towel like this, okay? You dip it in the mineral spirits like this, okay? Just see how you got that like that? You're not saturated, it's not dripping. And then watch what we're going to do. We're going to take it here. We're going to run it across the top like this, okay? And there's where the magic comes in. You see how you got that nice line? There's the black we picked up that was over. That's what you're going to do. Now, if you have a little bit more, you can go back, but don't go back with this. Go back with the other side, and you could do it again. But again, you want to make sure that you're going over here. If you mess up, you can always fill it in with a little extra paint or anything, but that's how we do it. And now we're going to let that sit for a couple minutes on the heat, and then we'll come back and do the other side. Okay, here's the other side with the lettering. Now, in order to get that lettering to pop, this is the part that's always a little difficult. Now, what you want to do is you're going to have to press this down using these ridges as a guide, and you want to go down a little bit just to catch the top of the letters, but not go anywhere deeper. So when you go across like this, you see here, we went way too deep over there, okay? And that's fine, because we're going to, again, you're going to fill it in with some paint again, and we're going to do it over again, but not go so hard. And this takes a little trial and error, a little practice here, but again, the paint is flooded in. You have the, this is saturated with mineral spirits. Now we're going to go a little bit lighter, okay? And you see that's a little better. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back the other way once we have the edges, and we're just going to try and get the top of the letters. You see how we're doing that from the back? And that's all there is to it. But you have to go back and forth, like we have to do this over again, because it's not something you do in one step. Sometimes it takes a little longer. But you see how this paint is a little thinned out, so it's kind of finding its way to the bottom. Don't be afraid to go over the edges here, because as soon as you wipe it off, that'll come off. So you're going to go back and forth again using that paper that's flooded with the mineral spirits, and you're going to go very lightly and try and get the top of the letters. And I used to do it, believe it or not, with my finger to try, because I had a better feeling for it. But these letters are a little bit close, and we'll have to work back and forth. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this little pry bar looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Oh, this came out just so beautiful, didn't it? What a lovely, lovely tool. You can see here, again, how the paint came out now. It's been sitting on the burner for a while, so it's almost like baked in. You could see all the forging underneath, but it still has a nice sheen, nice shine. Just lovely, isn't it? All the seams are gone, flat as a board on the bottom. And again, it's just a wonderful tool. Now, I did this in a black. You could do this in any color you wanted. You know, it would really pop in all different other colors. And the reason I did it in black is because we got a lot of new subscribers here. Just want you to know this is the last time you'll see a classic look for a while, because I'm getting into the funky colors again. So that'll be coming up. So there we go. This one's in the can. Okay, in closing, special thanks to Cheeky Monkey. Was that you who gave it to me? I don't know. Anyway, whoever gave it to me, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much. And it was a fun little project. I can't believe I lost the part to that other project, the wheel, of all things to lose. And it's here, obviously. I'll just have to wait till I find it, and then I'll finish it. But anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye.